Hello, my name is Ed Nassr, and tonight I'm speaking with Kimberly Primaserio, Assistant Director of Media Relations at Sacred Heart University. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us, Kim.
Thanks for having me.
So, I'd like to start our conversation with a question regarding your choice of profession. What motivated you to enter the communications field?
Great. So basically, all throughout my childhood, I really loved talking. I loved writing. I loved meeting with new people, making friends. So that kind of led me into the field of communications. I knew right off the bat, starting at UConn, I wanted to major in English and journalism. It really was just a great fit for me.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I understand that you have experience as a newspaper reporter.
Yeah.
How could you describe your time as a reporter? Do you have any experiences that specifically stuck in your mind from that time?
Sure. So as a reporter, I wrote for a small, really hyper-local daily newspaper. We were writing 2 stories a day on a deadline, tweeting, doing all the social media, taking photos, and even doing video at times. I primarily covered education, but there definitely was, everyone had their share of crime stories and politics to cover. Being a reporter, had its ups and downs, its challenges. It was always difficult to, get sources to call you back. Always difficult to find stories, to let people allow you to tell their stories, because not everyone's willing. You might have a really great story, but if no one wants to talk to you, it makes it a little difficult. So it definitely was an exciting and challenging job.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So since we're on the subject of journalism,
Sure.
What do you feel is the role of a journalist? Do you feel that this role has changed in recent years in any way?
I don't think it's changed. I think the primary role of the journalist is to report the truth. That was one of the great things of being a reporter. I was letting a community know about what's going on in their town, and it was the honest facts, whether it was on a Board of Education meeting, whether it was about, a car accident, whether it was about, a new teacher or anything. It's all about reporting the facts, being fair and balanced, and I think people have the right to know what's going on in their community, and not have it be biased or anything like that. So I think the role remains to just tell the story, get all the facts and tell the story.
Yeah. I was waiting for you to kind of say something different, actually, but that's very interesting that you said actually it's all about the truth, and that's what it always has been, and hopefully what it should remain about.
Hope so.
Yeah. So do you believe that a reporter's opinion belong anywhere in journalism, and why or why not?
As long as we're not talking about the op-ed section of a newspaper, no, I don't think a reporter's opinion should be in their stories. Save that for the editorial section, save that for the op-eds. Again, what good is it, putting your own opinion into a story? I just don't think there's a time and place for that. As a reporter, I would never dream of telling a source, who I was voting for, how I felt about certain politics. You just don't. Then people will think you will only write towards, Republican or Democrat policy. So you just stay away from that. And you just report the facts as you receive them.
Right. Despite what some people may believe, I'm not picking up the paper or reading an article online for an opinion. I'm looking to get some actual facts of what happened.
I'd like to think that's why people pick up the newspaper. I know that's why I pick up the newspaper. I want to hear about what's going on, what happened, what happened at that shooting, what happened at that earthquake, what happened at that town meeting. You want to just find out the truth. If I wanted to know how that reporter felt, I don't think you're not going to, but if you want to get opinion, sure, again, read the opinion section. But you just leave that off. Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. There's a time and a place.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So as a reporter yourself, what are your feelings about the impact that the media, both traditional and social, have had upon the recent presidential election?
Right. So obviously they both had a great impact on the election. I think social media, unfortunately, had gotten really way out of hand with all the fake news. that people just keep reposting. People, not even if it's fake news, if it's just news from a website that's not doesn't have good credentials. It's God knows where they're getting it from. That's not okay. People keep reposting it and they believe it's as fact, and that's why you have uninformed voters, and that's why sometimes social media is bad. It can be very, very bad. And sure, some people can say the same about broadcast news, that they only report certain things or certain parts of a story, or they sensationalize some parts, and the talking heads can kind of drive home certain things to get their point across. So obviously it definitely impacts people. Yeah, sorry.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I have a very vivid picture in my head. Anytime I hear about the fake news, I just picture that Zuckerberg and the Facebook, everything like that, just coming out about that.
It's scary. I mean, and all the stories came out about the fake news writers. Like, this is legit. People are literally writing fake news and people really think it's real. Like, that's not okay. It's not okay. I mean, I don't know who you wanted to vote for, but like, this is why things happen, and this is why there's certain people in power. Like, stop it. It's not okay.
Yeah, it can be kind of scary to some people.
A little bit.
So could you describe your role in media relations at Sacred Heart? Does your experience as a reporter affect how you have approached your latest position?
Sure. So as assistant director of media relations for Sacred Heart, I promote the university to the press. So I connect and form a lot of relationships with some of our local media. So they know who I am. They know to come to me when they're looking for certain things. So I promote the university. I help the press when they're looking for faculty or professors, or even stories to write about, professors to quote and talk about various topics. I write press releases, I write articles for our magazine, and I also work on university surveys that help us get ranked in U.S. News or Princeton Review, those kinds of things. So having the background in journalism as a print reporter, it just it helps me form those relationships with the press. I know what they're looking for. I get it. They're on deadlines. They need certain things, and hopefully I can provide them with it. And I think we just form a good relationship, and we know where everybody's coming from. At the end of the day, we want the press to write good things about us, and I know sometimes bad things happen, but we can respect each other and make sure the right information gets out to the public. Yeah, so I think in just being able to talk to people and to understand people, social skills go a long way. So I think that's really helpful.
Wonderful, absolutely. Yeah. What has been your favorite job in the communications field up until this point, and why?
So I will say being a reporter was definitely a love-hate relationship. There were days I loved it. There were days where I was excited, to get up in the morning and write a story. Like election day was always really exciting. You go in a little late. You knew what election you were going to cover. What race you were going to cover. You have pizza. It was just really great morale. It was just awesome. It's exciting to see the numbers come in. So things like that were really exciting. But then the hate part was the crazy hours, not always agreeing with the editors, the pay that wasn't so great, and also the idea it's a thankless job. You could write this awesome page one story, on a Wednesday, and on Thursday morning you're going to get to work and your editor's going to be like, so what do you got today? And it's like, really? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. No matter how awesome you did one day, you never get a day off. So I would say the job I'm currently in, I love the most. It's wonderful working for the university. It's wonderful promoting the professors and the school and its mission. And we're really doing wonderful things here, and we're growing, and the students see that, the parents see that, the faculty sees that, and it's really awesome. It's really rewarding.
Interesting. So it's kind of been a different shift now from a job where you knew you were never going to hear those two words, good job, to coming over here now where it's working with education and promoting a much more positive atmosphere.
Sure, I would say so. I mean, it's not, I don't want to hate all over my editors, because sometimes you would hear a good job, but there was always a but.
Right.
But what can you do for me tomorrow?
Yeah, more.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Sure. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule to speak with us, and we really appreciate it.
Great, yeah, my pleasure.
This is Ed Nassr reporting from Sacred Heart University. Have a good night.